All right, we've reached the end of the week, the longest week ever, it seems like. We're getting set for the weekend, and let's do a quick edition of Weather for Weather Geeks this evening. It's the Valley's most in-depth forecast. We don't have a lot of barn burners heading our way weather-wise, but we certainly had one back in 1993. I talked about this a little bit last evening, but in case you missed that post on social media, this is the anniversary of one of the more significant storms to impact our region in modern history. 14.7 inches of snow at the Youngstown Warren Airport from this storm, all in one calendar day on March 13th, 1993. This was what was called at the time the storm of the century, or a superstorm, that took a very favorable track to dump a lot of snow on eastern Ohio and western PA. 10 to 20 inches was pretty common in the row of counties in eastern Ohio that borders Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Once you got down closer to Pittsburgh, 20 plus amounts were very common. In fact, Pittsburgh had almost 2 feet worth of snow, and in some of the higher terrain near the PA Turnpike between, say, Pittsburgh and Johnstown, 30 plus inches, pretty common. This was a paralyzing late season storm that impacted millions upon millions, not just in our region, but over towards the eastern seaboard from Washington to Baltimore to Philadelphia to New York City and up into Boston as well. It was a doozy back in 1993. All right, thankfully today was not anything like that. It was a beautiful afternoon. We had some floaty cumulus clouds out there this afternoon overlooking Youngstown here on our time-lapse video. And while it was blustery, temperatures actually snuck back up into the lower 50s in parts of the valley later on this afternoon. All right, so most of the active weather this evening is out in the middle of the country where rain and snow is falling, and also a severe weather threat this evening in western Texas, parts of New Mexico as well. And winter is far from over in the west. All sorts of winter weather advisories, winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, mostly in the mountainous terrain from the Cascades up through the Sierras and into the Wasatch Range in Utah, Bitterroot Range, and out into the high plains from Rapid City and around Mount Rushmore down through the middle of Nebraska. That's where some of the nastiest weather will be over the next couple of days. All right, math aficionados, this is your day coming up on Saturday. It's Pi Day, 3.14, or March 14th, and we're expecting a pretty uneventful day, although it's going to be chilly and it's going to cloud up fairly quickly. A lot of us are kind of hunkered down indoors these days, and it'll be a good day to maybe enjoy your favorite piece of pie on Saturday. All right, this weak little system is still mostly a miss for us late Saturday into early Saturday night. Might be some small coatings on the grass south of I-70, especially and down towards the Ohio River, and certainly in the higher terrain and in the real mountainous terrain of West Virginia, panhandle of Maryland. Could be a couple of inches there, but nothing of any accumulating sort around here, although it's going to cloud up, and I can't even rule out a touch of snow and maybe a little wintry mix trying to fall late tomorrow in places such as Columbiana, Lisbon, Hanoverton, and over towards Rogers, East Palestine, East Liverpool. Those are the areas that are most likely to see something falling from the sky that you're going to notice. Otherwise, a sprinkle of flurry, that should be about it. And actually, I think the sun's going to come out fairly quickly on Sunday as high pressure builds in from the north. This will be our third straight beautiful Sunday across the valley. Maybe some thin, fair weather clouds on Monday, but I think this is still a pretty nice day and a little bit warmer as we kick off next week as well. And here's a look at the temperature forecast for the next 7 days. We'll do about 50 on Monday, and I've taken our midweek temperatures back, and this may be kind of a half step. It may actually be even a little bit cooler than this midweek. I don't like changing temperature forecasts on days 5 and 6 by an enormous amount, but I did back them off out of the upper 50s and lower 60s, I should say, back into the lower and middle 50s, and ultimately we may have a couple of days with highs in the upper 40s. Still not bad for this time of the year. And then it still looks like a warm-up is on the way for the end of next week. And so when we look at temperatures compared to average for the next 10 days, the warmth probably does peak at the very end of next week. That could also be a day with showers and maybe even some thunderstorms at the end of next week on Friday. And then temperatures should back off closer to average, but much like the pattern that we've been in for, seems like forever now, any below average temperatures in the medium and longer range probably sort of fleeting and probably temporary. Things should snap back into a warmer than average regime, generally speaking, later on this month. Now, last evening I shared with you some long range modeling showing maybe some cooler risks as we go into the month of April, but nothing really stands out as really crazy cool at this point. And of course, as we get closer to April, we'll have much more in the way of updates on the longer range. You know, we've seen the atmosphere tried to play this trick on us a few times in recent months where, hey, the longer range, looking kind of cool. And then as you get closer and closer, the pattern just reverts back to warmth. And we'll see if that happens this time around as well. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands frequently, of course, and do everything that the experts are telling you to do. I know I don't plan on doing a whole lot other than toughing it out and getting some groceries. I've seen some pictures at the grocery stores this week, and it's not encouraging. I'm going to try to get out there early, get what I need, and get out of there before the crowds move back in. Not sure why everyone is hoarding toilet paper, but that's what people are doing. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And anyway, I'm going to try to tough that out and then kind of just hunker down and not shake too many hands this weekend. All right, enough from me. See you next week for more Weather for Weather Geeks.